Hi, I want to go over this week's assignment, which was to combine the groups of sentences using an appositive where necessary. I found that in these sentences, appositives might be a little difficult to find since they aren't a repetition of one word, but maybe of a phrase. And so it takes a little while to look for them. First of all, as usual, as I've said in all these sentence combining exercises, look for words that are repeated. For once, in this case, we've got whaling boats repeated. We have whaling boats, okay? So that's our first clue of an appositive. So from April to October, whaling boats depart from New England and the eastern Canadian harbors. So you could put this phrase, now we don't have an appositive yet, but we have eliminated these words here. Okay. Now we can find an appositive because we've got Stellwagen Bank and Stellwagen Bank. So we can put an appositive in. A good place to find whales. Again, notice I repeated things that were the same. Let's zip through that again. Whaling boats often sail to departs the same as sail, so we can get rid of all this. And then Stellwagen Bank. Stellwagen Bank are repeated, and we can then get rid of all of this. We always have a comma to set off the appositive. Okay? If you have to, stop and rewind and look at these sentences again. We have similar phrases in the next one. Except we have a not. So we can still do that here. And get rid of filled. And we've got these boats are filled with tourists who want to go whale watching, not with hunters who want to kill whales. Again, we're looking at these boats. And we can get rid of even filled. So because it's already said. And we've got another appositive. Now, if you remember in some of the exercises that you did, it says an appositive repeats and gives additional information about another noun. A good spot to find whales, what's that giving us more information about? It's about Stellwagen Bank off Provincetown, Massachusetts. What's not with hunters who want to kill whales? Giving us additional information about tourists who want to go whale watching. Okay, next. Whale watching has become an increasingly popular pastime and then whale watching's repeated again. So, has been a increasingly popular pastime, and what I would do is I wouldn't necessarily use an appositive here. We can use a relative clause. Remember relative clauses? Pastime that attracted 3.6 million whale watchers. To me, that's a better way to do it. Another, to me, better way to do it is to put in a participle. So let's look at these two things again. A popular pastime that attracted 3.6 million whale watchers in the United States in 1994, or whale watching has become an increasingly popular pastime. And then we can change this to attracting, or we can use an appositive. You can see what a bad typist I am. Okay, so see how right here we're using a relative clause. I'm going to underline that so you can take a look at this in depth. Whale watching has become a pastime, and we've got a participle phrase. And here we have the appositive. Now, what I always spell positive wrong. I'm terrible at that. I have trouble with what they call double consonants. I always mess those up. Okay, so I've shown you 3 ways to combine this. To me, the least effective is the appositive because you're adding a lot of extra words. Here we're tightening it up. Okay, now we've got 4 sentences to put together. So again, we have to see if there's an appositive that we can put in. And since your has a lot of to look and then can look and can also look, we've got that information repeated. So let's see how we can combine these, because I have a feeling this last sentence is going to be the appositive. When you take up whale watching, you need to know what to look for to spot a whale. You need to, and I would just say, to look for the puff to appear, and I just use it. My goodness, Nadine. Coordination to add those together. Remember how we can add verbs together with an and, or nouns together, and this way The puff and the dark spots are what's added together in coordination. Now we got dark specks in the sky. Above the water. And I'm not sure how I want to do this, because to me, again, we could use a relative clause, which I think personally is better than using the appositive. I think the appositive is not as effective, because we've added these together, and for dark specks, and here we would have to use dashes if we were going to repeat this. Let's see. Again, we're going to use coordination to combine the first two sentences. You might want to take a look at this one again. And for dark specks, and here's where we're going to use an appositive, because there's so many commas. In fact, that would be a correct appositive, but I would just get rid of in the sky and only have one set of the dashes. Okay? You may want to look at this one again, because remember, I coordinated the first three sentences, and then I added a relative clause, and then here I added the Let's spell it wrong again, aren't I? Okay. And then we have two last combinations from the whale watching boat. Spectators sometimes I must have missed a word. C. A glistening black tail of a whale. Again, I would just use coordination. And remember, when you're using coordination, you're going to have the commas after each thing you're separating. You could make that into a positive, but I think it would just be too wordy, because you'd have, they see whales sometimes say, I just don't get how you would do it that way. I would just use coordination. The reaction to this whale sighting, notice we've got the reaction to the whale sighting, and the reaction to this whale sighting is repeated. And really simply, we repeat what same is. Same. The reaction to a whale sighting is always the same. Always a chorus of oohs and ahs and a round of cheers. Because what's same being described at? This, that makes it a positive. My suggestion to you would be to watch this more than once, and maybe some combinations of sentences more than once. study this for the quiz next week, and if you have questions, please let me know.